What is up? Cutting board. Big cutting board. This thing's huge. This is 15 inches wide by 18 inches long. It's kind of huge. I'm actually having some problems with it because it's so huge. Because all these little strips are very hard to glue together this wide and keep them everything straight. And it's more of a charcuterie board. I can't say that word without laughing. Cheese board. It's charcuterie board, so it's thinner. And I kind of wish I'd just made it thicker. I made it thinner so it wasn't so heavy because this thing's got some heft to it. I mean, it's a big chunk of wood. But there's some seam issues and stuff, but nothing that's going to matter. I mean, it's funny because it looks split, but it's not because there's resins and stuff and the wood's actually clamped together. It's just shrinking in different rates and everything, and it's always gonna. I have found though with a lot of these, the minute I oil it, the wood swells and a lot of that disappears, and even some of it you see, but it doesn't look bad. The oil like fills it in. It's starting to curl, so I want to coat it. I'm hoping the oil will stop it from curling anymore. It's got a slight cup in it now. This is a low spot and the two ends are high. It's curling this way. I'm hoping adding the oil at this point, because it's sanded. I have sanded the crap out of this thing. I'm hoping the oil will stop it from curling any worse, because it can't absorb any more humidity. It'll absorb oil, but not humidity. So it'll do its final curl as long as I do it on both sides. All the stresses on the wood and blah 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 will be the same. But I got some food grade mineral oil right here that I squirt all over it, and I let it soak in real thick like. And yeah, that's what we're doing today. And I basically like coat it and let it sit for 10 or 15 minutes, and then coat it, and I drench it at first. And you can already see where just the mineral oil hit it. And it has been sanded to 180 or 120, excuse me, sanded to 120, hit with rubbing alcohol. And rubbing alcohol is like water. I use rubbing alcohol because it dries faster and it doesn't warp the board as much as water does. It raises the grain. It makes all the little hairs when you're sanding. Like if you ever sanded and then like finish something, you always get those like little itty bitty hairs that they're basically laying flat, but they're still not really attached. Well, if you hit it with rubbing alcohol or water, most people just use water. Those hairs swell up and they stick up, and you can feel them. Then you hit it with one final time. So I hit it up to 180 with this one. Normally that's about as high as I go. I went to 180, raised the grain with rubbing alcohol, let it sit, sanded it to 240, hit the grain again with rubbing alcohol, raised it up, and then just now hit it with, I was actually going to stream sanding, and I was like, yeah, you know what? That's kind of loud. So I sanded it all with a machine, and I did all the edges by hand, and all the bevels and hand grooves are in it, and we're going to throw some mineral oil on it now. So let's do that, because this is the best part. You just squirt it on there, and it just makes all the colors and grains pop, and you use a lot because it will soak it in. And then you just take a paper towel. I used to have rags. I don't know if you ever saw I have a bunch of blue rags I actually bought for this in the hopes that I could reuse them and not waste money on paper towel. And they would be reuse, I could wash them and reuse them, and a little more lint free than paper towel. And they were blue because the blue ones are on sale. Well, come to find out, the blue dye leaches. And I had a cutting board, my brother's cutting board, that turned blue. Like the whole thing. And I was not happy about it. So I stopped using them. And actually, I still use them. I just don't use them for applying finishes. I use them for shop rags, not finish rags, if that makes sense. And I will buy them again. They work really well. They're blue. I will buy white ones next time. And then I've actually taken them all, and I just threw the whole box. I bought it like a box of 150 for 20 or 30 bucks. And I threw them in the wash. So they're actually not bleeding as much, but I'm just not taking a chance with something like this. This is a couple $100 worth of wood here. And then, now that this side's all completely drenched, we put some of these things down so it's not actually in contact with the table. And we do the other side. And this is just the best. Here's something so satisfying. If you do a good job sanding and then you oil a cutting board like this, when the smoothness of the rubbing alcohol, the smoothness of the mineral oil soaking into the wood and the color pop is just freaking amazing. And again, I am completely flooding this thing so it'll soak it all up. And hopefully everything swells back up and all the stuff that looks like bad joints swell back up, as they always do. And make it all very beautiful. I'm not charging anywhere near enough for this board. I think I'm actually losing money on this board. Literally. But that's all right. Live and learn. And we let it sit for 10 or 15 minutes, and then we flood it again. Because most of this stuff will disappear. And the good thing is this stuff's really good for your hands. Mineral oil is like awesome for your hands, especially if you do woodworking and it's already drying out right here. The sawdust gets into your hands and draws all the oils and moisture out of your hands, out of your skin. Then your fingers crack, and you get sores all around your fingernails from your fingers cracking. This will actually help it a lot. And I'm hoping, because I will do this 3 or 4 times today, and just flood it, because I have a feeling this is very dry. I know it's very dry. This is all kiln dried wood that I bought just for this project. And most of it, some of it I already had. All the purple heart I already had. The what little purple hearts in it. The Wingay, the really, really black stuff. That's Wingay I already had. The walnut, the cherry, and the maple I bought for this because I was pretty much out. I had cherry, but it wasn't what I wanted to use on this. It's not as clear. All right, first flooding down. Now I just got to sit here and wait for 15 minutes or so and then add another one. Today is finishing day, which means I can't vacuum or clean. I got sawdust everywhere. But what you don't want to do is stir it all up. And I should have cleaned this morning, but I came out and I shot. I was in a rush to shoot Fix Some Dude's board. I shot it with polyurethane, and I was like, oh man, I didn't clean first. So it's actually sitting on the other side of this wall. Over here. Wow, my video is really terrible, isn't it? And you let it sit. And it's over there, so it's out of because that room is completely encased in plastic. It's got a plastic on this wall, and it's got plastic on the other wall, and there's no airflow, so Hopefully, there's not getting. I mean, I'm never going to get a perfect finish in here without like a finishing room because there's just way too much sawdust and it's an old rickety garage and it's not that old, but and the wind's blowing, so there's anywhere there's an air leak. But that is the most dead air area I have. So yeah, that's soaking in nicely already. Just keep rubbing it in, rub it in, rub it in. Just keep rubbing it in. Let it soak up the oils. Everything will be great. I gotta find a better way to glue these up. This is about 2 weeks of gluing. I had this whole thing glued together and then cut it all up. I literally did rips down it because anywhere I had a really bad seam, I just take the table saw and rip down the seam and then reglue it. The problem with that is every time I do that, you never get like a perfect height, so you got to resand and reflatten and redo everything, and the whole thing has possibility of cupping more, and then you got it becomes thinner and thinner and thinner as you go, and yeah, that's just not good. Just keep rubbing it in, find the dry spots and rub it in. Really good for your hands. Really good for the cutting board. Mineral oil is good stuff. Like I said, I will do this 3 or 4 times, depending on how dry it is. And this is actually starting to puddle up already. So there's only areas that are dry. It's actually not absorbing it as fast as I thought it would. And no, I don't have my headset today. I forgot to bring it out, and I was just like, screw it. Just goofing off anyways. What's up, Vince? So I figured I'd just stream. I gotta sit here with this anyways. So I figured I'd stream. Normally I'd just sit here with the tunes jamming. Which I wish I could just play tunes in the background and just play, but um, they have a whining, crying fit if you actually have music in the background, like you're trying to make money off of their crap. It's ridiculous. Keep rubbing it in, spreading it out, making sure the dry spots get more rubbing alcohol, and you just do this for like a half an hour. I'll probably flip it over in a minute. Do the back side again. It's already looking a whole lot better. Then when I'm all done doing this, I let it sit overnight, and then I hit it with my wax. I got llama wax. I made my own. Right here. Llama board butter. And then I put 2 or 3 coats of that on. Let it just soak into all the woods, because the woods are very dry. Because the other thing I've learned is the glue, when it dries, which I never knew, the glue when it dries, which is why a lot of these joints open up. You guys probably can't see them, but as the glue dries, it actually dries the wood around it. It pulls the moisture out as it dries, which I never knew. So it shrinks the wood. So you have the freaking joint all tight, and then it shrinks as the glue dries. So you can have it pressed tight, but if you don't clamp it, it pulls apart as it dries. So there's occasionally, the thing is that you can't even feel it. My fingernail doesn't even catch on it. There's a heavy joint right here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it's basically a black line where it looks like the woods are not together, but it doesn't even, it's solid. Your finger doesn't even catch. It catches more going this way on the greens. It's kind of bizarre. Same with the one right here. It almost looks like the wood's split right here. You can't see it, but it's not. It's just where kind of shrunk, and the glue basically like squeezed out and stayed out. If that makes sense. I don't know how else to describe it. The wood shrinks and leaves the glue behind. It's kind of a weird thing I never knew about until I started doing this heavy, glued together large boards of lots of glue. There's a ton of glue in this. Just because all the pieces, parts. It's funny, I keep buying these big, huge boards, and you look at them and go, oh, that's a beautiful board. Then I sit there and hack them up to make these. Because people like this Tetrisy random pattern. I like it. Mine isn't. I actually brought mine inside already. It's already got 3 coats of wax or 2 coats of wax. I gotta put one more on it. And I'll do that inside. It needs to be photo shot. I need to do a photo shoot of it along with this one soon. Hoping I can give this to her by the weekend and collect some money. She did give me a down payment on it. This is actually for someone. She wanted this particular board, this particular size. And it's starting to soak it up. It is pretty. It's also pretty freaking big. Oh, in the hand grip. Yeah, see, there's all these lines I can see where the like wood shrunk but left the glue behind. It's really weird. I always thought it was like, oh crap. It's not. It's just the way that, particularly the waterproof glue I got to use on this, which is just Titebond 2 or 3. Excuse me, Titebond 3. That's the only one I'll use. There's only like 3 that are considered food safe that are actual waterproof. And obviously, with a cutting board, it needs to be food safe and waterproof, which I think Gorilla makes one now, but it's mostly Elmer's and Titebond. And every test and overview I saw said the Titebond is actually stronger, more waterproof, and usually cheaper than the Elmer's, which makes no sense to me. I would always think the Elmer's would be cheaper, but it's not. Really need to level this table. I never actually leveled this oak table I made. I just hit it with my hand plane and then sanded it. I never actually leveled it because it's just too big and a pain in the ass to do it. And I'm just going to beat the crap out of it. But as you can see, this board's actually flattened. I mean, it does have a curl, but it's an even curl. End grains, the most thirsty part of the board anyways. Can you see the end grain? There you go. Now you can see the end grain. That's just sucking up the oil. It is pretty though. And the oil, like, my brother keeps going, oh, the maple's so white. We need more dark colors. And the minute you add the oil, the maple kind of goes yellow. Almost as much as the cherry. The cherry goes kind of orange. It used to be kind of a yellow. The walnut goes to a nice, rich, like chocolate color. The Wingay just turns black. It's freaking amazing how dark it gets. It's like midnight black. And the maple darkens and kind of turns yellowish, almost tan. And the cherry like goes, it's almost orange. It's a really cool look. And the Purple Heart's funny because I cut the Purple Heart. I love the Purple Heart, but it's just too expensive to do any wide varieties of. But it's weird because I mean it's got a purple tint. But when you first cut it, like you pick up a board and you're like, wow, how purple is that? Then you cut it and it just looks kind of gray. I mean, it's always got kind of a purple tint to it, but it just goes gray until it ages. Like you look at it and go, man, that's gray, and then you'll walk away and you'll come back the next day and it's all like bright red. Like, what the hell happens? I guess it oxidizes overnight and the color pops or whatever. I don't know. But the Purple Heart, the longer it sits, even after it's oiled, so it's not really oxygen, I guess. I mean, I guess it is still because the oxygen can get through the oil eventually. Slower. But not sure what the reaction is, but as it sits, it turns more and more purple. This corner is dry. It's like really dry right here. It is soaking up the oil. It is definitely soaking it up. There is a little bit of a seam there that didn't get filled in proper, but that's all right. Too late now, because glue ain't gonna hold now that the mineral oil's soaking into the wood. There is no fixing this thing now. Anything's wrong with it, too bad, because it has drawn in the mineral oil and nothing's gonna adhere to it now. And I could probably sand off and plane off a 1/4 inch or so on top and bottom and reglue it. Then you lose a freaking 1/2 inch of material. But it looks pretty nice. It is one big board. She is a large one. That could be why it's rocking so much. That thing's not even under there. It's so it's not denting it. There we go. That rocking, the little painter points can put a dent in the wood. I mean, they do microscopically anyways, but. So what are you up to, Vince? We got to get you on streams again. You used to come hang out back in the day. Now we never see you. That whole work thing, you got to quit that work thing. It's getting in the way of your social life. Excuse me. That's looking pretty sweet. I'm hoping I can give it a coat or 2 more of oil. I may not have to. Not actually soaking it in as fast as I thought it would. It's beating up. I can almost squeeze it back out of the pores. It actually is squeezing out of the pores. If I go like this, I can squeeze it out of the pores in the black walnut. It's kind of funny. I wonder if it'll do it in the Purple Heart. Yep, it does it in the Purple Heart too. It's kind of bizarre. You run your finger along, all the oil comes squeezing out. The pores. Oh, what? You're out again? I thought you were back to work again. Would you have to quit again? Why aren't you freaking on streams and stuff then? Come join in. You gonna come hang out if I send you a link? Would you get your knee, leg, whatever worked on again? I don't remember something. You had a knee issue like I do. Need to be more social, man. You used to be all over the videos all the time. Come hopping in and hanging out. There's another rust spot right there I don't like. Oh well, too late now. Can't sand it with the oil. I mean, I can actually. I may. I don't like that spot right there. It's not terrible. Nobody else in the world would ever notice it but me. And let that soak. I don't even think I need to recoat it. I'll have to recoat it. You know what it is? It's freaking humid here today. I have a feeling it absorb moisture from the air, so it's not absorbing the oil as much or as fast. As it normally would. Let the air flow through. This is my soak drag. The only thing I want to definitely do is hit the end grain and just totally saturate it. That's looking pretty sweet. My video's all jumpy, huh? More than normal. Really want rags I can wash, so I'm not just wasting paper towel. There's no reason I can't wash the mineral oil out now and again to get a fresh coat. So I got to get me some white rags, and then I'll have to get a bucket that's just strictly for finishing rags. Big old drop right there, squeezing out. Looking pretty good. It is. It's got a nice sheen to it. Dry spot right here. Black walnut soaking up the oil the most. As usual, it always does. Oh, the other thing about the reason I use rubbing alcohol instead of water to raise the grain, and I do three things with the rubbing alcohol while sanding. The last sanding, I hit it with rubbing alcohol instead of water to, one, raise the grain, which was what people use water for. Two, it removes oils. And three, it dries way faster than water and allows me to continue faster without issues, if that makes sense. And it, dries up it pulls the natural like oils and stuff out of the wood, so it's easier to sand. What is up, Britt? Yeah, this thing is really pretty. It's huge. It's like really huge. That's my hand. It's massive. It is one big board. One big pain in my butt. It was. but it's pretty much done now. Little too much for this whole Tetrisy random patterny look to build. Yeah, it's debatable. Yeah, this was supposed to be an inch and a quarter thick, and I'm kind of in one way I'm glad I ended up making it thinner because it's so heavy. She wants to use it as a serving tray, and it's a pretty heavy chunk of wood. You add your cheeses and your meats and all that crap on it. It's heavy. Um, so I'm glad it's a little thinner than it originally was, but I'm actually concerned long term warping and getting all the glue joints tight, and it's really hard to work something this big. This is the third time this actual board has been glued together and built, and I get it all done, and then I find a joint I don't like, and it goes on the table saw, and that joint gets cut out, and a new piece gets put in, and it gets glued together again, and then it gets planed off, and it got thinner and thinner. Cool. Well, I'm glad you got compliments on your clock. Fix some dude's clock's pretty nice too. The only thing I don't like about your clock was the back, which doesn't matter at all. But that little spacer that I put on it because I thought I needed it, and it really didn't need it. It was kind of an experiment, but I cut it and then I sanded it, and I don't know. You probably seen it. It blew apart in the back where the bug stuff was, where the bugs had eaten through it, and it all blew apart, and I had to glue it back together, and blah blah blah. It didn't go back together as well as I would have liked, but it's the back. No one's ever gonna see it except for the person putting it on the wall and the person taking it off the wall. Dry spots, gotta smooth out the dry spots. Yeah, I really like how yours came out. I like how Fix 'em Dudes is coming out too. A lot, actually. The cedar looks really nice. Would you have people over that were checking out your clock? Or was it on live stream? You can't really see it on the live streams, can you? So, Britt, do you do all the cooking, or does your husband do all the cooking, or are you guys a takeout family? A delivery family? It's bubbling up, so I'm surprised it's bubbling up so fast. When it bubbles up like that, it means it's saturated. You know, it's still absorbing, but it slowed down. Video is real choppy, isn't it? Like really choppy. Worse than normal. You know, it's funny. This thing had a bow to it, and I can already tell just by rubbing it. And I can feel this is a high spot, but the bow is coming out already. I can feel it with the mineral oil straightening out as it soaks up the moisture, which is awesome. I don't know if she's gonna want feet on this or not. I have a love-hate relationship with those rubber feet on these because they do hold it up, especially when this big. Kind of have to have feet. I don't think it'll ever lay flat on a countertop. Um, I don't know. For one, my cutting boards, I wasn't even going to put the handles in my cutting board. I put them in just because I was doing it. I actually did them at the same time I did these. Um, or else I wouldn't have probably, because I always use both sides of a cutting board. I'll flip it over and use the other side every once in a while. Which you really I mean, you still can, I guess, but um, makes it less likely to happen. Which I guess the feet are alright with. But with feet, you never flip it over and use the bottom side. Which is really actually good for the cutting board. If you flip it over and use both sides, it gets, wear on both sides evenly, and you're less likely to have it split apart later. I've got some really nice bamboo cutting boards that are, 15 years old probably. I never cared for them all that well, but they were nice cutting boards. And one of them I threw out. It just split apart in so many pieces. I got one I've actually cut one side of it off of it because it was splitting apart. And it's not splitting at the glue seams. It's just the bamboo itself splitting apart. Anyway, this is probably getting boring and watching me massage a freaking chunk of wood. But it does look rather nice. It is a pretty freaking sweet board, considering it was a major pain in the butt. But it's almost done. All the gnarly parts are done. I don't know if you can see it. You can actually see it now. Well, the video might not be showing it up, but the purple heart now, like I was saying before, it was kind of gray as it soaks up the oils and stuff. It's turning really a rich, deep purple now. It's freaking awesome. What's funny too, I don't like the purple heart on its own. I almost took a chunk of purple heart and built a board out of purple heart. And I don't like large parts of it together. It's too purple. If that makes sense. Although I think we need to make Sith Lord Brett a all purple heart cutting board with just like some colored accents in it of black walnut and maple. What do you think? That would be a freaking $300 cutting board. I got to figure out how to do inlays next. Come to find out, which was my original purpose of getting the CNC, is we were going to do like cutting boards with inlays in it. Fusion 360 doesn't do inlays. There's like no tutorials. I got an idea about how to go about it, but it's really hard. The only way to really like just off the shelf start doing inlays with a CNC is to get a Spire, and I don't have $1,000 a year to pay for it. What's up, Dan? Yep, I think I'm done rubbing it. I think it's a sit time and let it soak. Mineral oil, lots and lots of food grade, high clear, food grade, high grade, food grade mineral oil. That stuff ain't cheap either. To keep the dry spots wet. Wherever it soaks in, you just keep rubbing them over with more stuff. But I think I'm done because it looks pretty even. And I'm getting bubbles that pop up out of the grain as I go over, which means it's squeezing it back out of the pores, which means the pores are full of oil. You at work or working at home work? hate throwing away paper towel. I want to get more rags. I need more rags. I need white rags. I have rags. They're just blue, and they dye everything blue because the dye they used is blue, and it leaks out of the rags. Come to find out. Which is why the blue ones were probably on sale. I bought them there, you get like 150 of them for like $20. Really, I mean, they're nice rags. They're shop rags, like you always used to see in garages. You ever went to mechanic, they always have it, that red rag hanging out the back of their pocket, like the classic 70s image. Like that. They're nice. They're wicked absorbent. What's up, Viking? But they got a blue dye in them, and they were like, I don't know, 30% off. And I bought them, and they used them to apply to mineral oil, and it dyed my brother's cutting board bright blue, which I was not happy about. So I had to cut his way down, run it through the planer, and shave it down, and sand it all again, and pull all the blue out of it. But I like the rags, and they still sell them. They sell them in white. Waiting for food. Who's delivering you food? What kind of food? Tell us about your food. I think I want to make a wall out of this, like this, not necessarily these woods or this thin of strips, but do this back wall of like different strips of wood, like pines and cedars and redwood and mahogany and scrap oak, and just same idea as this, just on the wall. Whoa! Let's dump the mineral oil on the floor. That was brilliant. Right in all the sawdust I can't vacuum up. So I vacuum it up, I'll be stirring it up, and then it'll get in Fix 'em Dude's freaking finish. Well, less likely to now that I got it, because I put his in the other room. The sun's out and it's raining. What the hell's up with that? There's like a shower going by, and it's the sun's out. It's been cloudy all day. The sun just came out like 10 minutes ago. And now it's raining. It's like a little sprinkly shower. Enough so I can hear it. That's bizarre. Welcome to summer. Summer starts, the actual summer starts is what? This week? Next week? This week. This coming week. Fish and chips, yum. I think that's what I'm having for dinner. Ah, cool. I am having to lean over to read the chat because the laptop's at an angle so you guys can see the board. Starving? I need to starve myself. I have stayed under 200 pounds, which I'm very happy about. All winter, I never got above 200 pounds. Because last year, about this time, I was 210 pounds. And I didn't really diet. I just went, you know what? The 8 glasses of soda and the 5 cups of coffee, and I can have a couple cups of coffee, and I can have a glass of soda, and maybe eat a salad now and again instead of just filling up on meatloaf and steak. And it's like I didn't do any drastic freaking, and I dropped almost 20 pounds. I was about 191, 192. And then winter hit. And I figured I'd get back over 200 pounds, and I never broke 200 pounds all winter. So I'm hoping, because I always eat less in the summer anyways. I drink more liquids. But I still have a soda now and again. I just had a soda with lunch, and I'll probably have one with dinner, but I have a small one. I'm not getting 32-ounce sodas. And I'm drinking a lot more water. And I've discovered I don't mind. Water always bothered me. It just tastes like there's no taste. Tastes like metal in my mouth. Tastes like I'm chewing on tinfoil or something. I found if I ice the crap out of it and it's super cold, I don't get that nasty taste. So I've been drinking a lot more water. Yeah, but you're quite a bit taller than I am. I'm only 5'9". You're what, 6'1", 6'2"? So you should be like 225, 230 pounds. Where I should be at 170 pounds, 170, 175 pounds. And part of my problem is just not being able to move around because of my knee. I don't do the work and exercise. My daily life used to be enough exercise to keep myself reasonably thin. I mean, I used to mountain bike and just run around and mow, and I was just an active kid in person. When I graduated high school, I was 135 pounds. And I was skinny. It's funny. I used to go mountain climbing with my friends, and they all used to be like, "Dude, I lost like 15 pounds on a mountain climbing trip." I'd be like, "Yeah, cool. I gained 15. I'm happy for that because I'd gain muscle mass." They'd all lose weight from exercise, and I'd gain weight from exercise. I'd gain muscle mass, and I got up to about 155 pounds when I broke my neck, and I went from 155 pounds to 215 pounds in less than a year. Because you wearing a halo, you don't do much. You sit in bed and eat lollipops all day long. That's pretty much all I did. Was eat lollipops and milkshakes and sit and stare at a computer for almost a year with that big monster freaking cage on my head. Do a lot of morphine. God, I did a lot of morphine. So much morphine. So very much morphine and Percocets and Darvocets after that. Now I can't stomach any of them. It's so weird. I go to take like a painkiller now, like what are they, Tremadol now or whatever they are. They make me all like wiry and edgy, and I hate taking them. I will only take one if I'm absolutely like, mostly if I can't sleep, and they make it so I can't sleep anyways because I'm all jittery. And a Percocet, the last time I took a Percocet was probably 10 years ago, and it made me like sick to my stomach. I was so jittery. And I used to take them like chiclets when I was younger. Not even notice them. I'd take two or three of them at a time, not even know I was frickin' eating them. Now I break them in half when I do take them. I don't take them very much at all anymore. I think I have a Tremadol upstairs from like a month ago when my knee first blew out again. Okay, this thing's looking really good. I was getting a little disappointed because I didn't think some of the seams looked good. But again, the minute the oil hits it and it swells it back up, all of that stuff just goes away. It all just looks awesome. And it's funny, I can see the seam, and yet I run my fingernail over it. It's smoother than the grain of the wood is. My fingernail does not catch on any of the seams. That's how I check if it's just a phenomena of the grain. Because sometimes the glue seam will look funny, and it's just the grain of the wood's matching. When they don't match, they actually counter each other. But especially the black walnut, that's just black walnut. It's just a heavy grain. Probably really shouldn't use black walnut on a cutting board, to be honest with you. I know it's really popular and everything, but it's really a thick, like you can see it. The pores are really thick and open. But it has natural oils in it, blah, blah, blah. It's funny, when I worked in a restaurant, for all the years we had big, huge wooden, like, maple and oak cutting, or not oak, maple and cherry cutting boards, like huge ones, like big, massive 2 foot by 3 foot, you know, inch and a half, 2 inch thick cutting boards. And then the Food and Drug Administration or whatever comes through and says, "Oh, you got to use all the plastic ones, so because the wood, holds germs in them or whatever." So we all went to the waxy, plasticky cutting boards, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of dollars replacing all the cutting boards in the restaurant. And like 5 years after that, because I worked there for almost 20 years on and off. Um, they came back and said, the wood's actually better. There's something in the wood that kills the germs, where they just live in the plastic on the edge. I was like, okay. So we brought out all our wooden cutting boards again, which is kind of funny. So now it's depends on who you talk to, which is better. Some will tell you you're better off with wood, and some will tell you you're better off with the plastic wax ones. I don't really care. They both work. The wood ones look nicer. Although after they've been beat up in a restaurant for a couple of years, they don't really look all nice. They usually have a nice hollow in the middle where you use it the most. The hairs are sticking up, and you get maple and frickin' cherry all in your food. Little slivers. All right, that's soaking it up pretty good. It's a nice, even, hazy layer of oil. It's not puddling, but I don't see any more dry spots. That must mean I don't even need to. I don't think I need to recoat this. I might have to tomorrow. Usually I put like 3 coats on here in this amount of time. It's been an hour. It's short of. But I did put more than I normally do on in the first coat. But yeah, it's I'm not seeing any dry spots. Right here a little bit, but that's not really a dry spot. That's just the grain pattern. I don't know. It's looking pretty good. And smooth. Smooth. Smooth as a baby's bottom. Oily. It'll still pop in here, but that's the bottom. Still puddling up a little bit. Dry spot right here. Bring the oil over. There we go. Oil really does make these things look freaking sweet. It just pops all the different colors of the woods. Just looks freaking awesome. Should have another piece of Purple Heart right here. There's one here, there's one here, there's one here, there's a little one here, so it should have been a little one here. But oh well, it's random. That's the whole part of random. So there's that. I think I'm done. What are you guys up to? Should I go inside and stream? It is Friday. It's only 2:30. Everyone's probably working. If I go inside, I can use a real camera and not have this thing all jumpy. And use a real mic. Fix some dude's clock's drying in the other side, so I can't really cut anything because I don't want to kick up any sawdust. I have another cutting board at least to make. Yeah. So yeah, it's been an hour. I think I'm gonna kill it. You guys don't look all that interested in anyway, so don't blame you. It's not actually an interesting thing to watch. So, see yous. Have a wonderful day.